how important is it for you guys, or does that keep you awake, like trying to figure out marketing strategy, growth strategies, distribution channels? Are you guys thinking about sales? Is that frightening to you, if you will, or?
Shall I go
you
first?
Can go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all what you said, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, developer marketing is an important part of developing, product, because if nobody knows about your product, they will not use it. So for us, I mean, it's kind of scary in a way, because developers are judging you, everybody's looking at you. But in the other way, it's also very satisfying, especially once you embrace the gift of feedback and basically launching as early as possible, as much as possible. So I would say it can also be very empowering. I can talk more about strategies, whatever, but I think my conclusion is just it's very important, and basically it's something that should be done full time.
I think you said that you're focusing more on growth. Are you thinking about sales at all?
Sure. I mean, we are always kind of let's say, putting together the picture for the future.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's always good to kind of know what your plan, we're not at that stage yet, but we're always learning from others, seeing what everybody else is doing, and kind of making our own projections.
I think, Amir, you guys have a different path, right? You guys are already selling or trying to sell.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to design a product that people want to buy instead of designing a product and then trying to sell it. And that's the major difference in what we are trying to do. My co-founder's background is kind of, we are both engineers, but we had history in sales. And we know how hard it is to sell something that your product team comes up with, and then you're trying to convince someone that this is greatest idea ever. And I think that the better approach is what we're actually doing is just take time, and instead of spending like 80% of time trying to sell something, spend the time selling, but in a way where clients can give you feedback. And actually, I would like to change the answer to the previous question. One of the ways how we are measuring how well we are doing is how much feedback we are getting on a product that we present. Because if you're getting feedback, if you're getting the ideas, if you're inspiring people to tell you what else you could do to incrementally improve the product, this means that you're probably doing a good way in designing 90% of product yourself, and then 10% in collaboration with your clients. And I think the best way to empower sales is to design a product that customer want to buy. And problem there is to create bridge between the sales and engineering. And this is where I think founders have the biggest role to actually not make it a bridge, but actually keep it connected and be kind of product managers and talk with the client, see what they say, and change the product. And then on top of that, pivot a business strategy. Because I was actually thinking, when you say developer product, you have already defined a buying persona. And then that's a problem, because you have already narrowed down that you have to have, this is the person that is buying. And ultimately, maybe like 95% of developers in organizations do not have access to buying process. They don't have access to the credit card, or whatever happens. And then you have done something which is actually pretty hard to convert into paying users. And I think because of that, you have to be flexible on both product and business go-to-market strategy, and be able to pivot in every step of the way until you find what is actually working.
I agree, and if I could just save everybody like a year of time, and just like developers don't buy anything, period. So it's not developers, it's probably somebody else, like Amir said. There's no budget, they don't have access to it, they're not interested, they're not decision makers, it's somebody else. So I just saved everybody here, hopefully some time, and you can focus on somebody else except a developer. But yeah, I totally agree with what both of you in a way said, and I think it's very early. It's important to kind of start thinking about it very early, because then you're prepared, like you said.
Just one thing. My favorite thing about sales strategy is that you're not selling a product, you're selling some kind of emotion, and it sounds really, how would I put it, simplistic. But you have to find someone who will actually have some kind of emotion related to your product. And typically developers are not those people. They're interested, in list of features, and that's great. But if you have a manager that has, emotional problem with the fact that people are leaving his company and that he has to, start projects over and over again, there is a tool that is helping with retaining some of the code and so on. This is kind of emotion that you can exploit to get this manager to buy a product and implement it in the organization and have developer to use it. This is kind of
let alone it took me a year to figure out that you can market to one person and sell to to another person. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm slow, but
Yeah. And actually, I had in InfoWeb, I had this experience working with one organization that created a sales process for LinkedIn and Amazon and for others. And there, everything was about the emotion. So the customer stories always had a name and location, and they had even time of the day, because all of that kind of invoked the emotion in listener. And it was much less about features of the product. It was much more about experience of the people that were around the product and how that improved their quality of life. And that was kind of driver to look at the features. And I think obviously they know what they're doing, and that's a way to go, to somehow elevate yourself beyond the product. And I know that we are all tied to what we are spending 90% of time with, and actually try to understand what drives the other side.